I'm currently renting a 3-room HDB flat in Toa Payoh with my husband. A few months ago, we reached out to our landlord to ask about extending the lease. I knew rental prices were on the rise, so I was already expecting a price hike. But what I didn't expect was a 75% increase. We couldn't afford to extend the lease, so unfortunately, we'll be moving out once the lease expires. There are rental schemes available, but we're not eligible for any of them. Very sad, you know. The location is damn good, and my block downstairs Yong Tau Fu. You cannot fight. But I'm not the only one with a story like this.
And then my landlord just increased rent by 70%. I'm speechless.
Woman priced out of 5-room flat after landlord increases rent by 60%.
We've just been informed by a landlord that he's only going to increase our rent by 75%. So yeah, I'm moving out.
In the past year alone, HDB rentals have gone up by 28.5%, while condominium rentals have gone up by 34.4%. Now, average rental prices for a 3-room HDB flat range between $3,000 to $5,000 a month, depending on location. Though it's worth mentioning that according to Minister for National Development Desmond Lee, there are early signs that rental markets are slowing down. I know landlords have the right to price their property according to the market rate. I mean, who would want to pass up the opportunity to earn more money, right? But for many people like me, a 75% increase is just not financially possible. Okay, firstly, I know many people have the impression that these rising rental costs only affect wealthy expats. But that's actually not true. A majority of Singapore's foreign labour force are not 5-figure salary earners. Only 11% of non-residents in Singapore were employment pass holders, which is a work visa for professionals, managers and executives that earn a minimum of $5,000. The rest are a mix of students, S-Pass and work permit holders, all of whom need a place to stay but will likely be priced out of Singapore's rental market.
When foreign employees come to one of the countries, one of the most important things is affordability. So when the housing costs rise significantly, people will definitely reconsider whether they can afford this. They may opt to leave the country and choose another location that's more affordable. These people who move in are more likely to be very high salary, more likely to be expats. Only those can afford these rents can come to Singapore. Those who cannot, they leave. So there will be this kind of sorting process. Rents will keep going up because these people can afford, which will be those kind of vicious cycle. That's what I'm kind of really worried about in the current situation.
Foreigners also aren't the only ones renting. There are also young Singaporeans, newlyweds and families waiting for their BTOs. But okay, maybe the majority of you watching this are thinking, why should I care? I'm not looking to rent.
So there is a theory that there is a positive relationship between rents and housing prices. On the one hand, people see the rising rents and they want to buy housing because they can also make a lot of profits out of renting their units. But also, you can always choose in the housing market. You can either rent or buy. If rents are too expensive, people would think, okay, maybe I should buy housing, which would actually eventually increase housing prices as well. So because housing prices is also high now, then home buyers would ask for a higher rent to compensate for their housing purchase cost. Once we start this cycle, it's very hard to break.
Clearly, sky-high rental prices in Singapore could have long-term consequences. But it got me thinking, could Singapore's rental market benefit from rental regulations? Singapore actually used to have a regulation called the Control of Rent Act. It was introduced in 1947 to restrict a landlord's right to increase the rent or remove tenants from a rent-controlled property. But as home ownership rates increased, the need for rent control decreased. So, the act was abolished in 2001. Many other countries do use rent regulation as a way to manage the cost of living. For example, in Ontario, Canada, rental increases are capped at a maximum of 2.5%. While in France, there's a maximum yearly rent increase of 3.5%. Even China recently introduced a nationwide 5% cap on yearly rent increases in urban areas.
For example, the landlords can increase the rents only by a certain percentage. They cannot suddenly increase the rents by 70%, which is currently happening. This is to protect the tenants.
But okay, rent regulation does come with its cons.
Rent control is one option, but a lot of side effects. It's going to distort the rental market, and especially I think for Singapore government is not much incentive because more tenants are foreigners. Because we have a very high home ownership. When there is this kind of demand shock, because the share of the rental markets are very small, it is very easily affected. More supply, I think that's the thing that we have to go for.
Across both the private sector and the public market, we're expecting close to 100,000 home completions between 2023 and 2025. This increased supply should help to alleviate some of the pressures in the rental market. Households who have been waiting for the keys will leave the rental market for their new homes, and the new homes will supply some additional rental flats.
Clearly, rent regulations aren't a one-stop solution, and introducing any kind of new policy could have knock-on effects. But could some form of regulation be helpful? I know as a tenant, it's something I would have appreciated. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments below.
Thanks for watching this video. If you'd like to see more, don't forget to click on the subscribe button and the notification bell.